Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Also hit that like button or leave a comment, share if you happen to dig anything, any topics, subjects that are being broken down, discussed, and analyzed. I'd appreciate that 3,000%. Getting ready to get into this WWCD album from Griselda. I lost track of this one, to be honest with you. And I knew I keep looking at who these Griselda projects are released under, because there was talks of signing with signing with Shady Records, Eminem, and then I hear bars from Benny that people think that I'm signed. People looking at my jewelry like I'm signed to Shady or signed to M. That's just a detail that I like to keep track of. Who's do. And I was, as I was listening to this, I was wondering another rapper told me the benefit. But why would you've done so much on your own? Why would you even sign with Shady? Or why would you sign with M? There's a benefit to that because they've done so much. Their catalog is so extensive by their own sweat equity and hard work. And then, like I said, with trying to understand the economics behind all of this, the way that music is being made now, like, do you even need assistance? Do you need budget help? Like, what's the reasoning? Maybe there's some interviews out there that discuss that type of stuff. But I was interested in this project, for one, because I wanted to hear what they would do, what would be done with an alliance with Shady and Eminem. And then also, I recently found out that this was all the way produced, or all tracks were produced by Daringer, who's been kind of the in-house producer for Griselda. But what I didn't know is this cat Beat Butcher, from a British producer, is kind of like along for the ride on everything on here. And Beat Butcher's his input seems to be that he actually plays instruments or can make music. Like I mentioned, there's these programs that you can take sounds and notes and stuff and build songs out of it. But I think he plays something, and that's kind of where all of this music, the sound on this music is based on, like noises and sounds and manipulating them. There are other elements to the production, but a lot of it is like these scales of like sounds of noises. But it's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite types of production, though, is piecing. It's like handcrafted beats. And I'm also wondering if, bringing in a guy like Beat Butcher, because I heard Westside, like, just in love with the sound of this album because it had the musical or the instrumentation brought in from Beat Butcher. And so he really wanted people to get that. So for him going to the lengths to make this happen, a listener like me fully appreciates that. And I wonder if that's better, less money being spent on clearing samples and sample clearances and all of that type of stuff. I would imagine, the back end, as this stuff starts selling, it's better for everybody involved. But let me get into it, man. It's 13 joints. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the ones that are just kind of like album songs to me. I know these are three great artists, two extremely gifted lyricists, but everything that they make is just not fire. And actually, I know they make jokes about the Moscato, different rappers make different bars about downplaying Moscato. I'm doing my LeBron James thing this Saturday morning with a glass of something. The first joint is Marcello, which features Raekwon. It's interesting that a cat like Raekwon hasn't actually jumped on a song and spit with these guys, because they're right in his wheelhouse, especially a younger Raekwon. But he comes on and just kind of introduces the album. It's kind of like Louis Gossett Jr. talking to the new arrivals and Officer and a Gentleman. This is a perfect selection for someone to do this. But what I like here from Raekwon, despite being disappointed that he's not rapping, is he says a good listener makes a good learner. He's encouraging these guys to continue what the hell they are doing and have accomplished. And he says, don't allow a neither that don't love you to make you feel like you gotta love him more than he love you. And because he opens it up with saying that you covered a lot of ground lately. You brothers have covered a lot of ground, done a lot of things, and I admire what your movement. And then lastly, he tells them, guard your mother energy. And I've been harping on this on my Instagram pages and on some of my other videos, man. Like, screw trying to fit in and please all of these different people. I don't even care if this is for brothers. Do what you got to do, man. I'm trying to fit in with people who ain't in the same lane as you. You're going to be called some names. Anyway, track number 2, Chef Dreads. It's an upbeat, real eerie sounding strings. They're sharing the verses here. I know Benny has a bar about bullets big as a Corona bottle. It's kind of just, it gets the album going. It's not a bad track, but it's more just album filler, album song for me. That's Chef Dreads. Chef 3, really slow beat. I like the bass line on it. Westside Gunn anchors this one. And it's interesting to the order of the rappers that they pick on here between the three: Westside, Conway the Machine, and Benny the Butcher. And then track 4 is Cruiserweight Coke. That catches my attention because Cruiserweight is a division in boxing. And again, I like the bass line on this joint. It's a real subtle rock guitar that's brought in here and there, and it sounds like, almost a live drum breakdown in different points. And I made a note here that through the first 2 or 3 songs, like I said, this is track 4, it seems like Benny is quietly handling the scoring. And that's what I'm listening to this project for, because the big argument is who's best, or the big discussion is who's your favorite guy between Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher, especially if you're reviewing music and talking this stuff out. That's what the comments come back is. Or if I do a live stream, I like Benny the best. I like Conway the best. So I'm listening here, and it seems like Conway is showing up, but he's passing the ball a little bit more and facilitating the offense. And then Westside Gunn is kind of the glue guy. I'll get to that here in a minute. But it's interesting that Westside Gunn anchors Cruiserweight Coke. I do like this joint right here with the guitar that comes in and out. And then, like I said, the little live drum breakdown. The album starts picking up here. Then we get into Freddie Hotspot, track number 5. Upbeat piano, nice hip-hop drum beat. But Benny opens up with we like the Bucks from the Eastern Conference. He says something, I stayed so long, I got mail at the Ritz. And then he comes and says, only Tom Brady get more rings than my telephone gets. He said, my lawyer said, breathe, them charges never gonna stick. And like I said, man, we're in the track 5 here, and Benny is providing most of the scoring output through this first portion of the album, in my opinion. Like I said, Khan's he's not getting washed out here, but he hadn't really stepped up, and he's kind of just letting the game come to him, if you will. And I'm mentioning it in basketball parlance because these guys talk so much basketball in there, so they mention the NBA or reference the NBA in so much of their lyrics. Westside Gunn is in the second slot on this one. He does some storytelling. It's actually a very solid verse from Westside Gunn. Conway handles the chorus. Something about came a long way from the cane we was dealing, got our name out the kitchen. He says something, he has a bar in there about spaceship with my garage lifting, fiend over, and then later on he says fiend overdosed, they on my man who caught a bid, a fiend overdosed, and they put the body on him. He's starting to cook a little bit, in my opinion, on Freddie Hotspot. We get into track 6, and things really start picking up. Dr. Birds is the name of this one. The beat is more the use of sounds and noises that they're manipulating and making music out of. One thing about Conway, his humor in his ad libs is a great aspect of his game as an MC. He says something about, let me get to so in Dr. Bird's Westside Gunn leads off. Another solid verse from Westside Gunn. And he plays an interesting role here because he's stuck between these two titans in lyrics and bars and whatnot. And he's got to compete with that. He's got to contribute. But another solid verse on Dr. Bird's for him. Conway is in the number 2 slot. He gets into this really nice run with changing up his flow and something it fits in there. Part of it is no shoe deal. Look at all this Nike shit that I got. And he kind of sticks in this little cadence for like 8 or 10 bars or something that's really dope. And he also says something in there about Hall and Nash and Benny. And then he says it's like James Worthy, Kareem and Magic. More NBA references. And then, like I said, he said something about a drum or something, emptying a drum. And he said something, leave a body stashed for a week. It's going to leave a stench. And he comes with the ad lib and says, smell that. Talk to him. All this little stuff he's calling out. Benny is the anchor. One thing that I like, man, is when they don't have any chorus and they switch to the next MC. I like the next 2 to 4 bars that they come in with to make that transition really pop and announce that a new dude is spitting. And off of Conway's last bar, Benny comes in and says something in there. I gave cocaine to users, OKs to shooters, and goes into his thing. Dr. Bird is cooking. Track 7 is interesting, man. It's a 7-minute song. 7 minutes. Most joints are 2.5 minutes, a minute and 50 seconds. This is a 7-minute song. They're spending some time with this one. And it's interesting, the feature is Novel. I heard Novel like 8 years ago, 10 years ago on a Talib Kweli Blacksmith MCEO like mixtape or something. And I thought the kid was talented, but he just seems to pop up here and there. But it's a drop in this beat. The sound is like, it's dope. I love this track. Oh, it's called The Old Groove. Again, this sounds like, if you listen to it, it's like a chemistry set with stuff bubbling and, fumes, gases, expanding and stuff. The track is dope. Westside Gunn is in the first slot. He's like painting a bunch of random crime world settings. He's like this international espionage guy. He mentions the Guggenheim Museum. Wes is all over the place. He's an artful brother. Conway in the number 2 slot. He says, I feel like Con is really starting to get in his bag and talking to him, as he likes to say. No chorus on this one. Again, I like the transition between either they go back to back and then chorus, or they just go back to back to back. It depends on. I like that they play with the song structure on the album. But Khan is making he starts making his signature really strong statements of separating Griselda from the rest of the dudes in the game. And he has a bar in there about something. This is Griselda. You cannot eat with us, and goes in a nice little run. Then there's a breakdown of the beat, and Benny comes out of that, and he's cooking. He says, every day I put, he doesn't start the verse with this, but like the third bar or something like, every day I put on gold like a Laker. I caught a bomb in the A. Later in the verse, he says, I caught a bomb in the A, but don't play for the Falcons. Every time we drop, we gave hell to I don't know, I can't hear what he closes that line with. I thought it was the N-word. Every time we drop, we gave hell to ninjas. And this is some more classic, like how they brag about the clip. But he says, every time we dropped, we gave hell to ninjas. Your top 5 got all 3 Griselda members. Ugh, it's nasty. And then the beat breaks down again and actually changes a little bit, and it switches over to Novel's verse. I'm very interested who thought to bring him into the play. But I like it because he comes in with like this Bilal soul sister, harmony and his rap mixing, rapping and singing and whatnot. I'm running out of time here, by the way, and I'm only on track 7. But Novel does his thing. Track 8's real slowed down. It's called Scotty's. More noise with some strings, and it's a short song. They get in and get out on this one. Track number 9, City on the Map, featuring 50 Cent, real upbeat. Still a beat mainly built off of sounds and noises that they manipulate. Conway kills it. He gets in, he opens the joint. It's something about, he has a line in there. Again, he's totally sticking to the G code. Say what you want, but I never took the stand. Fifth comes in with a decent verse. He kind of has like this constipated flow. It never really, but his bars that are like gonna blow your mind and overwhelm you, we don't really see much of those from Fifth anymore. But his flow is kind of reminiscent of where he was on the Massacre project. It's aggressive. It's in his wheelhouse. It's what Fifth does. But the chorus is something like, you see the way the neck's looking, so you can tell the way the check's looking. So I like this joint right here, and it's just those two. It's only Conway and Fifth on there. Track 11, beat nice as hell. It's really aggressive drums, keys, and strings. Benny starts this one off. Track 11 is called May Store, featuring Keisha Plum. He says something, man. Benny is like a Mr. T from Rocky 3. One thing that I really love, one bar that I'm really fascinated with is he said, I don't hate neithers. N-word, the N-word. I don't hate neithers. I see them as students that I can teach. I really like that bar right there. Then it transitions, no chorus. Conway comes in and says something from that. I see him as students I can teach. And Conway comes in with, I'm in these streets waist deep. Goes on, I've been a G since I jumped off the porch, still riding with the pump in the Porsche. I came up hustling that stuff that you snort. And then Westside Gunn comes in and anchor again. He says something about fake important. Westside's a very thoughtful dude because he only drops like a half a verse or a quarter of a verse with a couple of lines. These dudes just cook the track. I can't really outdo them. I'm going to get in what I got to say. And he has this build up with an awkward pause where like you think he might be coming with another bar, and then he just passes it off. And this time he passes it off to Keisha. She says some spoken word, does her thing. Track 12 is Lowry. It's this AA Rashid cat saying, some mix of street thoughts and street philosophy game mixed in with spirituality. You make what you want of that. But that's just him. That brings us to the finale. 5 minutes and 8 seconds for this finale. Bang. This is why I fell off this album, because when I first heard the joint with Conway, I thought it was just Con and Eminem. It didn't really pull me in. It just didn't. It doesn't always work, but with the remix, it's a real smash on this project. It closes out the album perfectly. And it's the first time where you can really just nod your head to some real straightforward hip hop stuff. It's still some noises, real, a very familiar hip hop drum beat, but I loved it. It's a little piano breakdown with another sound that's kind of like constantly going in the back. And Conway opens up with Before I Fall in Love, I'd rather cut my wrist. Everything I jot is mean. How you gonna stop machine? And he has this dope line, Dame Lillard from the elbow aim. I thought of that while sitting courtside at the Mellow game. Westside comes in the second slot, gets in and out, 4 to 6 bars, gets in, passes it over to Benny. Benny says, I brought enough quarters back to scrimmage with the Rams. Some, I hit the plug. It won't fit in the sedan. It's like comparing Timberlands to Vans. And then M finishes it off, doing what he does. Hey, I got to get out of here because I'm running out of time.